Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Draw Control Podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by Oregon women's lacrosse player Haley Cummins. In her lacrosse career, Haley played in 61 games and scored 43 goals, got 12 assists, had 55 points, 20 ground balls, and 79 draw controls. Before college, Haley helped lead her high school team to a state title game appearance as a junior. She was a two-year team captain, was named on the second team All-County as a junior, and represented the Baltimore region at the 2017 Under Armour Underclass Tournament. I'm super excited to have her on today. So Haley, welcome to the podcast, and how's everything going?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Still super busy with school, but it's my last week. So I'm looking forward to being done and just able to enjoy summer a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
I saw that you recently sort of wrapped up your lacrosse career, and obviously you're almost done with college. So what have you been up to, I guess, since the graduation ceremony in May? And do you still
Mhm.
plan on being involved with lacrosse in the future?
Yeah, I've been finishing out school. This is my last week, and then I'm officially done and graduated. And then I've been working like pretty much full time. I'm moving to Charleston in a week, so saving up money for that. As far as lacrosse goes, I would love to coach college lacrosse, but I'm taking a gap year just to kind of figure out what I want to do because I do want to pursue counseling and psychology. So kind of trying to figure out grad school along with like the coaching aspect. But I would love to continue to be involved with lacrosse and even next year, like maybe coaching a club team, something like that would be super fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like Charleston seems a lot different than Eugene, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's super different. I mean, it's similar to Maryland. I'm from Maryland, so in a way, East Coast. I'm excited to go back to the East Coast. I say I'm excited to go back home, even though it's super far from home still, but I'm excited to be back east.
Now, I want to start off this podcast sort of talking about the beginning of your career and sort of work all the way up to where you are today. So, like you just said, you're from Street, Maryland. So, talk about growing up there and how did you start playing lacrosse?
Yeah. So I'm originally from Bel Air, Maryland, which is a little bit south. It's like an hour north of Baltimore. And played soccer whole time growing up. And then my dad was trying to get my brother to play lacrosse. And I was like, hey, Dad, I think I want to play lacrosse. So I just started playing the fiddlesticks and eventually I joined my friends just like club or rec team and ended up loving it. And then I jumped from club team to club team. I think I was on like 6 different club teams until I figured out that I wanted to play for Skywalkers. And then I stuck with that and quickly decided that I was going to play in college. So that's kind of how it started. And plus, everybody in Maryland plays lacrosse. It's like a huge sport. It's like football for every other, state. So I kind of just think I was going to naturally fall into it regardless.
Yeah, growing up, did you like any teams or players? Was there any like teams and players you like to watch?
Being from Maryland, Maryland was probably my favorite team, and they were like the best team at the time. So I went to all the games, and then my dad, his friend from work, her daughter played on the Maryland lacrosse team, and then she ended up being my trainer after she graduated. So I liked watching her. Um, Obviously Taylor Cummings was awesome. I liked Kayla Trainer. She was awesome. She was an attacker, so and I was like mainly an offensive player at the time, so I really liked her. But I was diehard Maryland fan for most of the time growing up.
Now, before college, you got to play for your high school with Milton Wright High. Talk about your high school lacrosse days, what you took away from it, and what's like the best memory you have from those days when you look back on it now.
High school was a little bit more laid back lacrosse. It was just literally going and having like fun. And I got to play with like girls that went to high school with me, whereas for Skywalkers, it was like girls that were going to like these really prestigious private schools. So high school was just like getting to play with all my best friends and it was super fun and it was still really, really competitive. I got to play with girls that played on other club teams that I knew and then like play, our rival team was Bel Air and one of my teammates, Maggie Hall, who just had an amazing season at Florida. She played there, so it was super fun getting to play all my friends from club and I loved high school lacrosse. It was so fun. I like got like multiple best friends from that team. So yeah, I took a lot away from it. It was sad that I had to lose my senior season because of COVID, but I had so much fun playing in high school.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, you also played club lacrosse for Skywalkers. What was that experience like getting to play for that team? Because I'm not too familiar with the club lacrosse team, but I do know the name Skywalkers because it seems to pop up on every
Yeah.
page when I'm doing research for these
Yeah.
interviews.
Skywalkers is it's an amazing club. They helped me so much just develop as a player. Were definitely they definitely pushed you. I would say some of my practices with Skywalkers are harder than even college. But it developed me like drastically as a player. They also help so much with the recruiting process. They push you so hard. There's a reason why so many girls that play for Skywalkers are on top 10 programs, are, the best players in the country. Um, it was something I'm so grateful for. I still talk about Skywalkers today. Like one of my teammates, Paige, she played for Skywalkers, from Oregon, and we talk about it all the time. It was probably one of the hardest experiences we'll ever go through, but it made me such an amazing player, and I'm so grateful for it.
Now, how do you think your experiences in high school and with Skywalkers help prepare you for college lacrosse with Oregon?
Yeah. As far as high school, I think that splitting high school lacrosse and splitting like Skywalkers was a little bit hard for me because Skywalkers was super intense and like super competitive, and everybody's the best player in the field, you know what I mean? So you're really fighting for your spot, whereas high school, it was just like we are all here to just have fun. Like we were super competitive, we wanted to win, but like I got to really like enjoy and love lacrosse in high school. Whereas Skywalkers, it was like, I'm here, my sole job is to be the best and get recruited and learn like as much as I possibly can. So I think Skywalkers is a little bit more stressful, which really helped prepare me for college. It prepared me for the schedule, it prepared me for the intensity, for the long practices, for the really hard practices, for sometimes being told, hey, you're not the best and like you're not doing great. Like it toughened my skin. Which I think Skywalker's probably prepared me the most.
Yeah, it must have been nice though playing those high school lacrosse games and practices because it just harnesses your skills even more. Even though it's probably in a more casual setting, you're still
Yeah.
learning different skills and keeping practicing those skills as well throughout the spring. So it definitely makes it ease that transition easier for you once you get to college because you sort of are doing it already in high
Yeah.
school, I would imagine.
Yeah. It was definitely like a nice in between. Um, and it was fun to like just play with different people, get to see different people.
Now, talk about your recruiting process with Oregon. What was that like for yourself, and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at?
Yeah. Honestly, it was super random. It was like pretty out of the blue. I started the recruiting process. So my class was the first class to have the September 1st rule. So I started my recruiting process in like middle school with Skywalkers. Really, really early. Skywalkers had us making lists of our top, however many programs, and then we were emailing all of the programs before we would go to our like lacrosse tournaments each weekend. So I was kind of thrown into it really early before I even really knew what was going on. And when the rule went into place, it kind of all halted. So I wasn't even really curious about Oregon until after that date. I was mainly looking at like, top 10 schools, East Coast. And I got really, really overwhelmed with the whole process. So I decided I need to like calm down and put things on the back burner and like focus on just like what do I want in a school rather than like I need to like match the Skywalker's mentality of like going to top 10 program and like being the best. I need to win a national championship, and like that was something I wanted to like focus on myself and say like I want to bring this to a program. I don't want to like go to a program that's already there. I wanted to like go to something that was kind of like I wanted to work towards it. And at the time, Chelsea Hoffman was a coach, and she reached out to me and along with the assistant coaches, and I just loved them. Like it was one of the first group of coaches that I talked to that I felt like I had like a really good connection with, and like I felt like I could just talk to them about anything. I wasn't like afraid. I wasn't like I just had a very good feeling about it. And I came in, I visited, and the facilities were insane. Oregon has the most beautiful campus, beautiful facilities. It is, I came in at like such a perfect time. I went to a basketball game and it was awesome. Like Matthew Knight is so cool. And I just like fell in love with the coaches. And I met a few of the girls and they were so like nice and inviting. And they were also very honest with me. Like they didn't try to sugarcoat anything. And I just was like, I want these girls to be my teammates. I want these coaches to be my coaches. And I love the facilities. And it was like, it's like not every single like school you find a match with all three. So yeah, I decided like pretty much only a week after I left my visit that I wanted to go to Oregon.
Did you see a men's or women's basketball game?
I saw the men's game.
Oh, okay.
Um, it
Because I know
was so,
Sabrina Ionescu was I would imagine she was probably on the team at the time of
yeah,
during your
she
recruiting
was.
process. So it must have been I
Yeah,
would have been cool to see her play with Oregon.
I know. I wish I did, but the men's game was really, really cool. And it was just cool like getting to see like the inside of the stadium as well
Yeah,
as the stadium. So that was awesome.
that's awesome. I think Peyton Pritchard might have been on the team then, so at least you got to see another Oregon legend at that time.
I know. Yeah, I think they were on the team. I know Bol was on the team at the time, and I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
His dad was like such a legend, but yeah, it was a really cool experience. I'm really grateful for it.
Now, as a freshman, what was like the biggest adjustment you had to make to college lacrosse?
Um, I think it was a schedule was really, really difficult. Like even putting school to the side, like it was, 6 a.m. lift every morning as a freshman, and we didn't have a car. So we were like getting, coordinating rides at like 5 a.m., getting the lift, lifting, making sure you're eating enough, which was hard because you're doing so much. And then the practices, like for Skywalkers, our practices were probably like an hour and a half, maybe at max. Same with like high school, maybe an hour. And I got to college and our practices were like 3 hours long every single day. And we had like green days, yellow days, red days. So I think just adjusting to that, adjusting to like the amount of like conditioning and lifting and like the amount that you're putting on your body was probably the hardest thing for me. Um, as far as like the level of play, I think it was up a little bit, but it was more, I think, the mindset over everything. Like we're here to win, we're here to improve the program, and like everybody is like, I'm the best person on this team, and like we're all going to continue. Like, but everybody has to have that mentality. You have to like feel that way in order to like grow a program. Um, so I think that was the biggest difference was just trying to manage all of that and like take care of your body. I think that was just probably the hardest adjustment for me my freshman year.
You guys got to play in the Pac-12 during your time there. So what was that conference like and just the competition that you faced each game?
Yeah, it's changed a lot since my freshman year. We had teams leave, we had teams join. Like this year, we had two new teams, SDSU and UC Davis. So it's fluctuated a lot. The like level of play has as well. I feel like it got much harder as I've gotten older. But Pac-12 is it's a great conference. I'm sad it's leaving. Sad that, Oregon's not going to be part of the Pac-12 anymore, but I'm also excited for the girls. I'm so excited they get to play see new faces and see new competition. I think it'll be really good for them. But yeah, it was definitely hard. I remember my first ever game. I like started my first game and I just remember like looking down and seeing I was wearing a jersey with like Pac-12 on it, and I just remember getting so nervous. But it was a really fun experience, and I'm like happy I was able to play in the Pac-12. Even though I was like always telling myself growing up, I'm like, I'm gonna play in the Big Ten, but I was like grateful for the Pac-12. I think it was an amazing experience and the competition was awesome.
Now that you graduated, are you jealous of the incoming players that they get to play in the Big Ten? Or are you very relieved that you don't have to deal with that travel schedule that they're going to have to deal with?
I mean, uh, the travel was still pretty bad. I mean, we're the only lacrosse school up in the Pacific Northwest, so we were still flying like 2 to 4 hours each
Hmm.
time, like connecting flights, and it wasn't like you could drive. So like our games were always like we're gonna go play Stanford and then we're gonna go play ASU. So we were flying from, we were going to play ASU. We flew Thursday, got there, played on Friday, and then next or that night we would just pack all of our stuff up, fly to Stanford, and then we were playing. So it was still a lot of travel. So I would say, yeah, I'm pretty jealous. I wish I got to,
Hmm.
be part of that new conference. And I'm really excited for them. I don't think they're gonna love this 7 hour travel, but once you're there, you're there. So,
Yeah.
but I'm excited for the girls too that are, they're from the East Coast. A lot of girls on our team are from the East Coast and they get to go and like be able to play in front of their families, which is something that was challenging going to
Yeah.
Oregon, being able to see your family as much.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a big difference between a 2 hour flight to California versus like a 7 hour flight to Washington, D.C. or something like that.
Yeah, but
But
you're on a bus, like it's all the same. Travel's travel. It's all.
exactly. Now, hopefully some more teams out west can get a lacrosse program. I feel like Washington should try to get one at some point just to make a fun regional rivalry between you guys.
It'd be cool. It'd be so cool. I mean, I'm trying to think the closest team is like probably like Stanford. Yeah, we're pretty far from everybody else. Stanford, or UC Davis.
Yeah. Now, you were talking about the tough schedule that you had to deal with as a freshman with all the practices and workouts and all that stuff. So how'd you learn to balance lacrosse and academics at such a high level?
Yeah. I think my rude awakening was really sophomore year because freshman year was COVID, so everything was online. So I kind of did like my tutor. We had mandatory tutoring as freshmen, so my tutoring, my classes, everything were all through Zoom. So I got to kind of just like go home and like sit in my dorm and do my homework. Whereas like sophomore year came around and it was like, okay, so you have lift in the morning and then you have to figure out time to eat and then you have to rush straight to class and then you have tutoring, so you have to run straight to the Jayco Center, which is our student like athlete academic center, and then making sure to eat, and then we had practice in the afternoon, so you have to like rush, find food, and then like go to practice, and then you're there until it's dark out, and then find time for homework. So it was really hard, especially somebody that is kind of struggles a little bit more in school. It was a lot. It was really hard. The only thing that helped me was like scheduling every single inch of my life, which helped a lot. But it's again, like you have to make sure you're taking care of your body. You have to make sure you're getting sleep, you're eating, you're, prioritizing your mental health over everything. So our coaches were so like my head coaches both times, even though I've had coaching changes, have been awesome about mental health. And they've just been like, if you need, like, we understand that this is a lot for everybody. If you need time, it's okay. Like, just as long as like communication's open. But yeah, adjustment was very difficult, but I feel like it's a skill that I have now that I'll have for the rest of my life, like knowing how to manage such a hectic schedule.
Now let's talk about your time with Oregon. So throughout your time with the Ducks, your team got better. You had 2 wins with them your sophomore year, and then this past season, your team got 8 wins and was above 500. So just talk about the growth of the program since you arrived and how you
Yeah.
handled the lows of a tough sophomore season compared to the highs of a great senior season, beating a team like Arizona State and then also giving teams like Stanford a good game as well.
Yeah. I think the team has really changed in, mindset. Like my freshman sophomore year, we were still developing towards the team that we are today. And I think that the team we are today is amazing. Like everybody is on the same page, everybody wants the same thing, everybody, you know, does the same things. Like we're all very much on the same page. Whereas it was a little bit like kind of, we had different people from different places. And with Jess coming in, the confidence in every single person would just flourished. Which is why I think we had a much more successful season than we have in the past. Like nobody was afraid to take risks. Everybody felt confident in their abilities. I think that everybody felt that they could communicate. And that really benefited everybody. At least my personal experience was like I felt so much more confident to just play lacrosse, and like I felt confident in my own abilities, and I felt that I could speak and say what I needed to, like I could talk to my teammates. So I think a lot of our success was just like the clicking. It wasn't as much like who the talent, it was just like we were all like mentally clicking. And I think that next year they're just going to continue to do that. And I can't wait to see, what Rachel and Anna Simmons, what they do with the draw and as attackers and midfielders. And like I know the defense is going to be amazing. So I'm looking forward to watching them next year and watching the development of the team.
Yeah, what type of leadership were you trying to bring to the team as a senior? Would you consider yourself a vocal leader, lead by example type of player? Obviously, you had a lot of young players. I felt like joined your team this past season, so I felt like the leadership role that you had was super important and a big reason why your team sort of took that next step.
Yeah. I think just the way, especially our coach was, her style, um, leading by example was sort of the way to go. Especially for me, I just felt that, you know, making like doing things in the field and maybe like watching other girls do like a lot of communication on the field to kind of like help teach the younger girls, but it was really mainly like I'm gonna do this, and then like a girl felt comfortable enough to come up and be like, hey, like what happened there? Like we all were super like good at communicating. So I think lead by example, but also like being comfortable and feeling comfortable enough to like give pointers to each other and also like communicate based off of like this didn't work. Like let's talk about what can work and let's involve the coaches. And yeah, I think that's kind of the style of what this past year was.
Now, you mentioned this a little bit, but you also had a coaching change during your time with the team. How did you handle that? And what was it like being coached by Coach Drummond? Obviously, you mentioned sort of some of the stuff she helped your team out with this past season, but from your perspective, what was she like as a leader, and what was it like playing under her?
Yeah. Drummond's awesome. I love her. She is like such a happy, like she just brings a lot of positivity, especially in like we live in Oregon. It rains here like every single day. Practice was this year in the morning. It was so cold and like rainy. And she just brought light to practice. Same with Theo and CC. Theo was I was always on, I mean, I'm an attacker, so I was on Theo's side of the ball. And she was always cracking jokes and, making things like light and happy while also like leading us and educating us on what we needed to do. Same with Drummond. I loved all my coaches here. I learned from every single one of them. Chelsea was great. She helped me so much with the draw. She like helped me a lot with my confidence. She was always really great. I'm super big on mental health, and she was amazing with my mental health. Same with Drummond. But yeah, I really loved the new coaches this year. They're awesome. I love Theo. She's the best ever. Our whole team loves her. So yeah, I'm really grateful, honestly. I got to be coached by so many different women.
What's like your favorite memory with the University of Oregon when you look back on it now?
I don't know if I have an exact like favorite memory. I think when going to the next level in the Pac-12 tournament at Arizona State, we beat Colorado. That was an amazing time. That was a really good memory. But I think like my favorite memories are just like in the locker room before games, like like laughing and like having fun. We were always just messing around. We had a dance circle. Like we had, we always wore this is my favorite one. We wore Nike sweatsuits for before every single game. So everybody brought their coolest Nike sweatsuits and like their Nike shoes and um like got like dressed up, and it was like so fun to like do that before games. And um we had like pregame meals and stuff. So that's probably my favorite memories.
Now, you obviously got better throughout your time with Oregon. What would you say is the biggest improvement you made to your game throughout your time there?
Yeah, I think developing my IQ for sure. I'm like very film based. I watched a lot of film, especially for the draw. But I think also transitioning from a midfielder to an attacker helped me so much because I was able to take the knowledge I knew from playing defense for so long and like knowing 3 steps ahead what a defense is gonna do because I played it. And implementing that into my game for attack was something that helped me so much. Especially since my senior year, I moved to crease, which is something I wish I would have done a lot earlier because I realize now that I'm really good at it. But I think moving to crease was a big thing, but also focusing so much on film and like I was watching every single practice after practice, uh, and clipping my own stuff and clipping other girls' things that I thought were good and like teaching myself just on the computer at home really developed me as a player.
You played your final game with the Ducks against Arizona State in the Pac-12 tournament this past season. How have you reflected on that loss since then, and what will you take away from your time with Oregon, not just on the field, but off the field as well?
Yeah. That was a sad game. It was my last game ever, so it was very tearful. But I think that game, as I'm sad we lost, it really reflects just like Oregon as a whole. Like we're facing adversity, but like never really quitting. Like our team never gives up. Like I don't feel like there's ever been a game where we're just like we're gonna throw the towel in. We're always fighting till the very end. Like Lexi scored a Twizzler shot. She ran all the way from like the defensive end to the offensive end, and it was like one of the most fun moments of my college career. Just like watching her do that, and everybody just like playing as a team and like caring for each other and having each other's back. Like it just reflected like my entire 4 years here. So as sad as I was that, it was over and that's how it ended, I was really proud of my whole team and I was proud of the way I played. I think I played really well. So I wish we came away with a win, but yeah, I'm really proud of all the girls and I'm grateful for all of them.
So let's move on to a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where I ask you some non-lacrosse questions. And I feel like I need to change the name of it because I have two sort of lacrosse questions on there. But we'll start off with one non-lacrosse question. If there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Gosh, I don't know. Either myself or Megan Fox.
That would be cool. I would go with Andrew Garfield. I like him a lot. He seems like a
Oh
good
yeah, he's
actor.
cool.
Even though we
Yeah.
don't look anything alike, I just feel like he would be cool to play me in a movie. So I'll go with him. Now, which team has the best college lacrosse jerseys? Because I would assume Oregon's probably in the top 10 if you would ask
I
most players.
Yeah, I love our jerseys. But I think lacrosse wise, I think my favorite is Florida. I love their colors. Like I think Florida's uniforms are so sick. But I don't know. I think if you're just thinking like just college sports jerseys, Oregon has it for,
Hmm.
football jerseys are amazing. So, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, those bright green ones are awesome. It's fun watching like Justin Herbert highlights and seeing that pop. It's awesome. I would
Yeah.
say North Carolina for lacrosse. I really like the
Mhm.
Tar Heel sort of patch in the side, and just the Carolina blue is really fun. So
Yeah.
it's probably blue's probably my favorite color, so maybe I'm a little bit biased about that one. Now, next one is, if you could pick one lacrosse player that you've never played with before to be your teammate for one day, which player would you pick?
Mine's so basic. I probably picked Charlotte North just because I've learned so much from her and she's so cool. And she like she picked up women's lacrosse and like completely changed it, I think, for the rest of history. So I'd probably pick Charlotte North. I think she's awesome.
That's a good answer. I would go
Yeah.
with Izzy Skane just because she's also done a lot for the game. But if I had to pick a men's player, I'd probably go with Marcus Holman. I really like watching him play as well.
Yeah. He's cool.
Now, what is the most underrated holiday and what's the most overrated holiday?
It's not even underrated, but I'm gonna say it because my favorite is Thanksgiving because I just love to eat.
Hmm.
I love Thanksgiving. Um, Overrated. I mean, like everybody loves Christmas. But like I can't say Christmas because there's good food on Christmas
I feel like
too.
Christmas is properly rated, in my opinion. It's not
Yeah, I
neither
don't
over or under, in my
I don't
opinion.
know what's overrated. I guess I have no idea what the overrated holiday would be.
I would say Halloween because after you're done trick-or-treating when you're like in middle school, it's really not as fun as it used to be.
That is true. I loved Halloween growing up, and I think I'll like it when I have kids, but it's kind of boring now.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think it's a bit overrated. So I'll go with that one, or New
Always
Year's
do
Eve
that.
because it's basically just another party, but people hype it up. So it'd be like this big grand thing when I
Yeah,
feel like it's not.
yeah, that's true. My New Year's Eves haven't been as fun, I guess, since I was younger. It was more exciting when you're younger.
Yeah, because you get to stay up late, and now like I
Yeah.
usually always stay up to midnight, so it's not as fun not as special as I guess it used to be for me at least.
Yeah, true.
Now, what is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Oh gosh, probably something with school. I learned about the new Mexican president-elect. She's cool. She's like
Mhm.
one of the first female leaders in like Mexico's history in like a really long time or something. And her history was really cool. So probably her.
I don't know what I would say. Probably just the national anthem at the home run derby and that whole thing. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah,
saw
that
that
was
viral
crazy.
video. Yeah, so I think that was pretty interesting to listen to. But I heard I heard she was like drunk or something and
I
is
know.
now
I
going to
did see
rehab.
posted
So I
something.
hope she finds help because that's obviously a very serious situation. So I sort of feel bad for her.
I know. I felt bad for her too, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah. Now, which player on your team has the best off the field style besides yourself, obviously?
Rachel Palo. She is she's awesome. She's like my spontaneous. We always get tattoos or like piercings or do weird stuff together. But she's got the coolest style ever. She has like the coolest stuff in her closet. She always, every time we have to like dress up for an event, she has the coolest outfit.
Now, what is one item on your bucket list that you hope to accomplish one day?
Besides get rich, just kidding. Probably travel. I want to travel a lot. I went to Europe. Our team did a trip to Europe. We went to Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. And that like gave me a taste for like traveling. And I think I want to do that more. I really want to go to Australia. So probably traveling. I really enjoy like just I mean, I kind of hit like most places in the United States at this point, coming to Oregon and like also being from the East Coast. So yeah, I want to go different places around the country or around the world.
I would love to go to Australia, but I don't know if I can handle the flight there. 16
I
hours is
know
a
it's
long time. I
so
don't know if I could,
long.
I genuinely don't know if I could do that. So I don't know if I'll ever go to Australia in my life, if I'm being honest, just because
Yeah,
I
it
don't know if
is
I can handle that.
far.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's more the time change after too, because it's like probably like 2 days ahead when you
I
flew out
I
there. So
think
I don't know
it
how you adjust to that as well.
yeah, it would be difficult. Our coach is from Australia. I should ask her how she goes back home and comes back here.
Yeah. Now, getting back to one more lacrosse question, and that's just what should be done to help grow women's lacrosse from your perspective?
I think like even just what you're doing, like putting it through media, podcasts. Um, I mean, I think it's grown so much even by like the best players. Like Charlotte North has grown this game so much. Same with Izzy Skane and Taylor Cummins, like just the big players have really like taken it from this like smaller sport that like only people in Maryland knew about to like something that's so much bigger. Another thing that I think helps so much is I do a lot of like community outreach stuff here where like I do like kids sports events and like I try and like teach kids lacrosse in Eugene because it's really not big here. Most people are like confused when I tell them that we have a lacrosse program that are from here because they just have no idea anything about it. So I think growing it on the West Coast, teaching kids when they're young about it so that they are interested and then eventually, more high schools out here and out west will start carrying lacrosse programs.
Well, do you have any shout outs you want to give to your teammates, Haley, family members, or friends? And who should we have on the podcast next?
Shout out to my whole team. On your podcast next. I mean, all my teammates are awesome. I think Avery even said that. She said literally anybody's great. I think Anna Simmons and Rachel Palo would be great guests. I think Maddie Sweeney has had an incredible story. She has had a lot of shoulder injuries and she's got great insight on what it's like to, be injured and, she's been injured and come back like 8 times. She's the most resilient person I think I've ever met. She'd be an awesome guest.
Well, Haley, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. I think you're a great player. I think you're an even better person, and I'm going to miss watching you play, but I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. I know you're going to do great on whatever you decide to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.